It gives me great pleasure to be here in your midst this evening. I believe that this significant initiative today holds the key to unlock our state to the international markets. I also believe that we have spent too much time dwelling on our resources and possibilities thereof. In fact, my entire generation grew up bemoaning the fact that we were connected to the rest of the country by that chicken neck corridor. Endless deliberations, seminars, workshops only talked about the deficits. And the buck stopped there. Nothing happened. So this evening, as a trade practitioner, and also as a member of Export Promotion Council of Handicrafts, and as the convener for Northeast India, I want to congratulate Team Aidan, led by the dynamic CEO, for setting the stage, which I believe is a very historic milestone. I thought that I should give you a little insight as to where I'm coming from and the journey that I have made thus far. Almost 3 decades ago, I started a very negligible activity in my backyard by venturing into the handmade sector with some textiles and crafts, mostly in cane and bamboo, without actually thinking that I was getting into a business. I think today you would use the jargon startup. Without actually thinking that I was, launching a label, let alone exports. But the difference was I was acutely aware of the fact that there was this huge gap in the market. Whatever products were available back then was only traditional in its format. And it didn't have any relevance or meaning to a customer outside the state. So by, it was a very simple thing of by reimagining our traditional textiles and crafts, whatever I offered in the market was immediately lapped up. I found instant favor outside the state, and let me tell you honestly, I had a bull run throughout the early 90s. And in fact, most of my customers, even back then, were buying from me and exporting to several countries. Brands like Fab India was instrumental in exporting my goods to many European countries back then. Towards the end of the 90s, my novelty was wearing off. And just when I was reaching my saturation point, I was lucky to be mentored by the Dutch government as one of the 40 small producers globally from developing countries. And they mentored me in export marketing in Rotterdam for almost a month. And thereafter facilitated my participation in one of the most premium design fairs in the world in Paris. It's called the Maison et Objet, because they felt that the products that I had needed to be showcased there. And that totally zoomed my business to another level. And around the same time, I also connected with the Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, which is the apex body of Indian exporters with a 10,000 plus strong membership, and whose B2B fairs are attended by at least 3,000 overseas buyers every fair. I was also mentored by the US Department of State. I'm an IVLP alumna, and they got me to understand that I was a cultural entrepreneur and reinforced the fact that there's a lot more to do in the traditional sector. So having said that, I've come a long way, but I don't want to dwell on the challenges, but I do want to mention the fact that we all have to fight our own battles and navigate our own course. And like I did, I was the perennial pesky sales girl armed with a full bag full of samples and the yellow pages in those days as my constant Bible, knocking on several doors. And this is how I created my own market. If I look back, I think there were 2 factors which were instrumental in keeping me afloat thus far. One was to staying relevant. I remember in one of my early B2B fairs in Paris, one of my customers came up to me, and she was from Norway. So she said that, I just love what you're doing. I love your collection. But, it screams tribal. It screams Naga. from even a mile. I love it, but you know, there's very little I can do because it doesn't sit well in our, Scandinavian interiors. You know, that got me thinking. The next fair that I participated, again at the Mesoid Objet, I completely changed tracks. I decided to only follow international trends. And let me tell you, I haven't looked back since. Today, sitting right out of Dimapur, we have been successfully exporting to, we have exported to as many as 30 countries. And as I speak to you now, we are processing orders for customers in as many as 11 countries. We have built an entire ecosystem of women weavers, not only in Nagaland, but also in neighboring states of Manipur and Assam. And I work with more than 400 plus women weavers regularly. They work directly for us, and we ensure that we give them uninterrupted work. We also have created an ecosystem of working with more than 500 plus male artisans who craft arcane, bamboo, and other natural fiber products. And these products, I take great pride to tell you again that they're not sold to any mom and pop stores. They are carefully sold to high-end chain of stores and luxury stores. In fact, talking of relevance, in one of my B2B fairs, I don't know if many of you have heard of this brand called Massimo Dutti, who owns Zara and Flamengo and other brands. So there two merchandisers came to my booth. They looked at my cushions and all that, and they said that Massimo Dutti is not really into soft furnishings, but we are going to use your cotton throw, which we repurposed Naga shawls as cotton throws. We are going to use your throw as a window display in all our showrooms across the world. So it was 725 showrooms across the world, including Russia, and we had to ship like three samples of the Naga throws to each of these places. So it was 725 stores globally sporting a Naga throw on their window display. So, having said that, we to stay relevant, we also repurposed a lot of traditional craft. For instance, we are very high on the traditional raincoat, which are used as a raincoat and woven by women mostly in Chizami area in Fair and in the Konyak areas. We have repurposed and we resell them as wall decors. And most of the galleries, high-end galleries and museums these days, they buy from us and they present it as a piece of wall decor. Likewise, to give you a small instance, the very primitive, the small wooden stools that the Konyaks make, we repurpose them as cheese boards and salad platters, and we have sold to many of the high-end, wildlife safaris around the world, to all the Cox and Kings chain of hotels also. It has been my experience that just because we've sitting here in Nagaland, we feel that we are too good. We don't see the world through the lens of the international market. I had an experience of leading a delegation of some few Indian exporters to Vietnam and to Cambodia just before the COVID. We met with the ambassador in Hanoi, and this is what he asked us. Do you know why our exporters in Vietnam are so successful? And then, I said, the capacity and the price. He said, no, think again. None of us could come up with an answer. He said that if you want to be in exports and if you want to, sell your goods to several countries, you need to marry the market. There's no two ways about it. You have to be completely wedded to international trends. You may have a great product, but it is not in consonance with what the market demands. So staying relevant is one of the key factors which I feel that has been instrumental in bringing me this far. Number two, I think aligning with the right markets and market demands is paramount. Market intelligence is key. I think I was sharing with some of you this morning about my fiasco. So sometime in 2003 or 2004, the government of India picked up 3 women entrepreneurs to represent India to a fair in Brazil. Amidst a lot of fanfare and media hype, we were sent off. We went there, I took 3 cartons of textiles and trays, bamboo baskets, etc. I worked on it for almost months for my collection. We went there and we were at the fag end of the pavilion. Nobody was walking in there because we were clearly not in the right fair, number one. Number two, we were in the extremely disadvantaged location at the rear end of the pavilion. Trust me, within the next 3 days, we were the three of us were just wanting to pack up and leave. So we need to understand which are the markets that we need to go to. I had a similar experience when I went to Birmingham. No show. It was a damn squib because it was an exhibition which was meant only for home appliances and electronic gadgets. And there I was sent from India. Come on, this is not the market that I needed to be in. But I think we also need to understand our capacities, and we need to stop just because an IKEA or a Walmart or a Target wants to come to the Northeast and buy from us. We can't keep talking about working with IKEA or because none of us are in a position to conform to their compliances even now, and it's going to take some time. So let us look beyond the IKEAs and Targets on the Walmarts, and let us choose our markets properly and take it forward from there. I take this opportunity today to make 3 formal submissions, since our Honorable Chief Minister is here. Number one is to facilitate deserving entrepreneurs to carefully chosen B2B trade fairs by supporting their participation. Now, this can be done not once, but 3 regular times. The model that the Dutch government used for me was the first participation was free. The second participation, I had to pay up 50%, which was quite a lot of money. It ran into about some 5,000 euros. But so I had a sense of accountability. And the third participation can be 75-25. When you go for trade fairs, don't think that an importer is going to look at you and then the first time he looks at you, he's going to place an order with you. No, it does not ever work like that. You need to, to build a rapport. You need to make your presence felt in the market. Number two, and to carry forward to that, just recently I finished with my first physical fair after a gap of 2 years, and there was this very strong contingent from Rajasthan. So the government of Rajasthan, to accommodate and facilitate their entrepreneur exporters, they paid 1.5 lakhs for every entrepreneur to buy space at the B2B fair, and they also pay a stipend of some 7,500 odd rupees for their transport. I also think that it's, we must create trade concentration centers, much like the concentration centers, but of the good kind. Now, these concentration centers will not only facilitate, but also aggregate. And these must have all the verticals of capacity building, skill development, technology upgradation, design incubation, documentation processes, and also be ready to be like a retail out, just like, because we all work in silos, it's not possible for an importer from outside to come and go to each and every small exporter in the beginning. I can't expect like Mr. Shetty to go to pay to, to Mon area, to Kohima, etc. So if we have like trade concentration centers in each of our districts, that would be of great help in the beginning. Lastly, since our logistics cost is nightmarish, some kind of facilitation to the exporters on submission of the shipping bills, which they can't forge. So we completely eradicate, the forgery part of it. So that would go a long way. Lastly, I think we need to think out of the box. Just because we have pineapples, I don't think that we can export pineapples. We have to look at different ways of how we need to sell our pineapples. Just because we have Raja Mircha, I don't think the world is, waiting for us to eat our pickles or our paste. Maybe we can think of pepper spray. Maybe we can think of, the spray pellets for the defense ministry. Things like that. Just because we are rich in bamboo reserves doesn't mean that, we only continue to talk about the bamboo handicrafts. There are so many other things that, one can look at. I remember distinctly this gentleman coming up to me in one of my fairs, and he said that, I want to buy bamboo sticks. And we have such a tunnel vision. I immediately thought that he was talking about agarbatti. I said, yeah, agarbatti sticks. He said, no, I'm not talking about the agarbatti sticks. I'm talking about bamboo sticks which are 50 centimeters now. I calculated in my head and I said, 50 centimeters, 20 inches bamboo stick? What do you want to do with it? He said, no, I'm an importer of bamboo sticks for the floriculture industry. We used 20 inches bamboo stick to support orchids. And I want like 3 containers in the next 1 month. Is there anybody in the Northeast who can do it? I was trying to aggregate with everybody, but of course that was not possible. So we need to think out of the box. We just can't think of our bamboo handicrafts. Like I think I disagreed with Professor Gautam when he said that for ASEAN countries we can export bamboo handicrafts. I said no. I mean, come on. All the people in the ASEAN countries, they are so light years ahead of us in terms of handicrafts. I can't expect to sell a bamboo tray or a bamboo basket to, say, Vietnam or to Myanmar or even to Thailand. We have to look at things beyond that. Let's get out of the rut that we have in our heads and think out of the box. I think I'm taking a lot of time, but lastly, I want to thank Team Maidan and led by our CEO for making this happen. And as a committee member of the Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, I will be happy to facilitate any entrepreneur who wishes to get into exports. And I also believe that this is the right time with emerging market trends which are only driven by sustainability, which are only looking for conscious consumption and mindful living. I think it's about time we encashed these resources into hardcore commerce and convert our traditional wealth into commercial wealth. Thank you. I have just prepared, I just take 2 more minutes just to show a small slide of what we do so that you understand what we do and where we sell. This was the year in 1997 I walked up to IKEA in Kutub institutional area. The same year that I went to IIFT and I bought your books, I sent them some samples. And this is a handwritten letter from IKEA in 1997. Aftermath of the pandemic, this is what we did, to brighten, we followed the market trends. So these are the bright colors that we are doing. The one on the left is me. Like I was so thrilled to see, the Naga cushion, and it was a Naga display in Paris in Boulevard House. So that is a big deal. And on the right is an article which appeared in a very upmarket magazine called Image in UK. So they talk about the striking range of cushions from Nagaland, which was in fact a trendsetter. We sell these in a very well curated store in New York. And as you can see, some of the colors have traveled a long way. We have Tizu. Next. So in some countries, like where the mood is somber, we play with this kind of colors. This is in Japan. They are very, 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 very fussy about quality. Now, to just get into the Japanese market is not a mean feat, at least for us. Number second, these are some of the shawls that reimagined as clothes with our own styling. These are some of the bamboo lamps that we make and sell in many countries. Now, this is very special to me because this collection has been inspired by the Wino that every home in Northeast has. And just before the pandemic, the NEC had, in Nagaland particularly, it's a very gendered thing, right? Textiles for women, crafts for men. So for the first time, we imparted skill development training to these girls. And these Winos are now sold in very premium shops in UK. In the US, bamboo baskets, all in natural dyes. This collection has been inspired by the tattoos that you see on the faces and legs. They are being sold as wall decor. This is our upcoming Christmas collection in bamboo and wood. Thank you.
But born and brought up in Mumbai. So our family business is in UAE, that is United Arab Emirates, and we have been doing business there. We are in international trade, and later on we shifted to Hong Kong and China. Myself, I shifted to Hong Kong and China. We still have business in Dubai. So our customers were mainly in US and Gulf region, Gulf countries. So whenever I used to come to India, people used to ask me, what do you do for India? I said, India mein main gand nahi phailata hu. That is, I don't get, dumb Chinese products in India. This is what I told them. They said, why don't you market Indian products into China? I said, that's definitely a good idea. So what I did is I registered a company in China and started importing from all the states of India, like from north to south, east to west. We have a flagship store in one of the cities in the International Community Mall, which is it's a very, very large mall actually. People from all over the world, they come there and all. So we have a flagship store and we have 1,000+ wholesale customers all across China. We import furnitures from India. We import a lot of carpets from different parts of India, like Bhadoi, Jaipur, southern part of India, Kashmir, coir from Kerala, coir products, and agarbatti. I'm from Karnataka, so I have a lot of contacts with agarbatti business people. So I import large quantity of agarbatti to China because culturally we are the same. Apart from that, like my agarbatti friends, they told me, why don't you supply us agarbatti sticks from China? So we started exporting out of China to Indian manufacturers. That was the time I was always thinking, Northeast is one place. I'm very strong geographically, but I don't know very much about the Northeast. Like, I know each city, the capital of each city and everything. Then I said, why not Northeast? And for the last, 10 years, I've been thinking, how do I go to Northeast and, how do I source and all. And because I've been busy, I travel a lot, 6 to 7 months a year all around the world. So this is the time when I got stuck with this pandemic. We had some order from Panama and other countries for blinds, bamboo blinds. So then I asked, my friends and Jasmina, my dear friend, that, how do we get in touch with somebody who's making, she said, this is what, like, she gave me some references and all, I contacted them. But then the finished product is because it's not as proper or good as what China makes and all. China has been helped by the government, so they are kind of mature, very much mature. And agarbatti sticks. Like even yesterday, I was sitting in the car, we were going out for dinner. I got 2 containers order, that is 42 ton. So this is a regular this thing. So I've been wanting to look for somebody who can immediately supply me incense stick. Not incense stick, just the stick. to supply to the industry. So this is my sole purpose of coming to this region. I'll be meeting some people, talking to different officials and see how I can support. You know, I say that since I have so much of contacts all around the world, use me. We can do things together. I mean, so this is what it is, and this is what I want to talk. That's it.
Thank you, Alam Temsel, CEO, IDEN. My honorable colleague, Dr. Diki Giri, and our friend, an all-time friend, Dr. Manoj Pant, Vice Chancellor, IIFT, and your colleague professors who could make it today. And it's a pleasure listening to all of you. Other officers who are present here, entrepreneurs who are here today, and among the entrepreneurs, one member, a lady, Jasmina Zelian, could give her experience to us. It's a pleasure listening to her. I think that's on behalf of all the entrepreneurs who are here and who are not here also. I hope you will share all her experiences for progressive entrepreneurship. And friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm quite delighted to be present in this function on launching of the export facility sale of the IIFT. And we have heard lots about their speeches, their experience, and it is always a pleasure to have Manoj Panji, who is an old friend, a friend of from the student and college days. Some are business friends, some are friends in many ways, maybe in singings or having good times. He's always cheerful, and when I heard his name coming back to launch this export facility sale of his institute, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, where he is the Vice Chancellor. I think, though it is a small step, we call it a sale, but the institution is Indian Institution of Foreign Trade. There's a huge thing, particularly for the Northeast and for the state. Here, I hope our entrepreneurs, our youth, will take advantage of the facilities and do promote their activities. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm a positive living person, and I always do positively. But our people have been mentally, distorted, and the way how we are brought up and how do we discuss things, it has changed our mindset, our character, our activities, and we have not come out of that. That's how this kind of facilities for export will educate us and will also change our mindset. Even myself, in my speeches inside the state or even outside the state, we call it Nagaland is a political state. Because obviously it was born out of the political agreement, and this state was instituted. And all the people, including the politicians and others also, whether they know or they don't know, everybody talk about politics. and not of international or national, but mostly about Naga politics. So who knows also talk, who don't know also talk, and we always do politicking. Recently, in one of my speech, I said, let us stop talking about politics. Let politicians talk, or who are involved, talk about politics. Not everybody. Those who know also, or those who don't know also, talk politics. And why I say that is because we don't talk about our economy. And life is all about economy. Because unless your economy is good, you have resources, or you have resources and exploit, otherwise it will remain dormant. Even I say that I don't regard my state or my people as poor, but we remain poor because our resources are not exploited. Our rich natural resources, oil and natural gas, or even our forest products are banned by the Supreme Court order. Of course, today's environment, how the summit in Glasgow, G26, they talk about the climate change and protection of environments. But I'm not complaining, but I'm just referring to how Supreme Court has given. And that has really curtailed our internal resources where we get funding to take up developmental activities. And because of our Naga political issue, our natural resources exploitation of petroleum products, natural gas, are all stopped since 1994. Until date, though our oil pipes are leaking, all are shut and no activities. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic had again created huge problem globally, and that has also affected us. But today, that realization has come that such pandemic come globally and lockdown comes, that at least you have to be self-sufficient. Otherwise, there's no import or export, and you have to be self-sufficient during that period. So how do you survive? So that realizations come, and with our APC, Diketo, we had formulated the Naga model of agri and allied sector in a compact area, how to develop, how to keep the farmers and the people active in producing. So, political state, and we don't talk about economy of our state. And that's how today it is very heartwarming that IIFT has come and launched an export facilities sale in Nagaland. I hope this will be a good beginning. So, Nagaland, we have huge potentialities. By Jasmina experience, her own hard work and struggle led to the national and international level, where you can do a lot of things. I want our youth to be more focused. And even say your study students, we blame one another, but we are all responsible. Parents, students, or even educated, we have to take responsibilities. I found that Naga students, we are all pursuing for a degree. And we have a mindset that maths and science is too tough for Nagas, so we'll go the easy way. All will go for graduation in arts. So many have certificates, but because you don't have the expertise, the job market, you cannot find place. Because you need to be expert or qualified in certain disciplines so that jobs are available. Therefore, what is available, you should know that and pursue. In other societies, even in our country, the business communities, I don't know, but like your IAS or IPS or national services, this business community, even like people who can think and be farsighted, and the parents who are more economic minded, their children's 90% they go for commerce, to do business or to look after the family business. And from childhood, I always say we have a commercial buildings, so Manoris, they run shops. The daytime the children go to school. But after the school, my observation is, after school they come home, change their dress and sit in the mat, and then the servants will bring him or her a cup of tea and have a drink, and he'll be doing selling and recording and everything from smallest business sense. They start developing that economic sense, business sense from a school boy or girl. And that's how, when they grow up, their ambition is to study commerce and do BBA, MBA, and then they go into their discipline, their trade. That's how they are specialized. And they know what they're doing, so they get pleasure in doing. So I think we should focus our studies also, and we have to teach our children, our students. Many people who pass 12, they go into certain disciplines where they can get employment or where they can go into some disciplines so that they have more opportunities to compete. The world has so much opportunities now. The old time of India wealth, the rich people, Tata, Birlas, those are all rich families. But today, Reliance, Ambani's, overnight they have become multi-billionaires. So that is innovations, that is new system of doing business, and the business, you can sit in one room, you can work all over the world through net, through digital. So I think we have to catch up. Why I had thought about this export facilitation cell under this IIFT in Nagaland, one thing strikes my mind is, we have very few like Jasmina who are doing business already. And how many are upcomings? Because as mentioned, we don't have an organized, system to do business. So till now, our society, we are a consumer society, not producing society. And therefore, government have to facilitate. Then the youth and the entrepreneurs have to come with dedication. You cannot do everything. You choose certain disciplines, get expert in it. You see, in the last budget, our budget is very small. We have 70% expenditure of all the budgets we passed. 70% go for salary, pension, and debt services. So about 30% go for developmental activities. And there also about 25% is kept aside for state share of the centrally sponsored schemes. And therefore, you don't have much money for developmental activities. Now in this, why I'm saying that is, we kept 35 crores aside for innovation. But till today we could not be convinced to invest to anybody's innovations. And if there are no takers, then we have to divert the fund and use it elsewhere. Therefore, I think there is a communication gap, or there is no interest, or there is no innovation at all in our state. This becomes a big question for us. Anyway, our hope lies with our youth, and they have talent, but they have to be focused. And dedications, you have to. Now, therefore, in this economy, to compete national, international, you cannot do half-heartedly. And you cannot compete with what others do. As Our Lady Jasmina stated, what potential we have, what readily available resources we have. These are very important, and therefore we have to focus on that. Now, to do business, you need money. And many entrepreneurs are suffering. In last 2-3 days, you're reading the newspapers about surfacing. Loan. Bankers are not coming forward to give loan to the entrepreneurs. Because you cannot mortgage your land and properties because of Article 371A. And we had meetings with the bankers to resolve these issues. So finally, we had taken legal opinions. We also had further discussion with the bankers, and they had accepted our proposal for giving out loans by mortgaging land and properties. But when you default, then your property has to be confiscated by the bankers. And if you cannot pay on a given time, your property will be put on auction and will be sold to any takers. But in our condition, because land cannot be sold to non-Nagas, therefore, bankers have no guarantee to recover their fund. And therefore, now you can take, if you default also, your property will be investigated, auctioned, but it can be sold only to the indigenous Nagas of Nagaland. And that policy we are taking to this winter session and passing a resolution in the Assembly, so that any business persons who want to do business can mortgage your land, your buildings, your properties, immovable properties. And I hope those will be consciously done and then use funds in a proper manner, judiciously. Like there are also some qualified contractors, the NHIDCLs, the road constructions. These tenderings, you see, you have to put your security deposit or your kind of DSC. And if you have this mortgage, your money in the bank, then you don't have to deposit cash. But at present, since we cannot mortgage our properties, you have to deposit cash into the bank. And which Naga has so much money in his pocket? It is not possible. And that's how we cannot compete. So I think this resolution in the Assembly will ease out doing business. Now, therefore, in municipal and town councils, we had decided that town area should all be cadastral survey and pata issued to landowners, house owners. If it is government, government will get pata. If it is individuals, individuals get pata, so that you can utilize that. Because village pata is not recognized. Banks are not accepting. Therefore, you have to have the government issued pata. And that's how you can mortgage and get money and do things. So, our habit of trying to get money from your MLAs, from your ministers, or from your uncles or relatives to start your business. You need money means you have to go to the bank, not to your uncle or to your MLA. That is a wrong track. Therefore, I think this will work out and there will be opportunities for the entrepreneurs to get money and work. And so today, on behalf of the state government, I want to congratulate Aidan and team led by Alamtem Sajamir for bringing the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade and assisted by ADC. This achievement, I must congratulate you and your team. And I want to thank the IIFT led by Manoj Pant. It is your love, your friendship, that you want to do something for the state, not only Nagaland, but your love for the and closeness with Northeast. We appreciate and we thank you, and I hope our entrepreneurs, our state government agencies, departments, let us all work as Team Nagaland and see that this take off. Many good programs come, many initiatives comes, but it is formally being conducted or started, but implementation is very, very good. So I thank all the professors and entrepreneurs who have taken part today, given your experience and trying to help our state, our young entrepreneurs. And government will do all out in this venture. If IDEN and the entrepreneurs can come out with some innovations, the state government will be willing to give some funding for your takeoff. Thank you and God bless you.